There's a moment you've probably felt. That instant when you leave a conversation or a room and realize you're not yourself anymore. Your energy feels hijacked. Maybe you replay what you said or what they said, and it's like your whole inner frequency got scrambled. You were fine before, centered, clear. Then one glance, one tone, one subtle jab, and suddenly you're off. We talk about protecting your energy like it's about walls or distance, but it's not. It's about coherence, about how stable your inner signal stays, no matter what storm hits it. Because here's the truth, your frequency isn't fragile, it's not glass, it's more like a field, a resonant wave that only loses power when you abandon your own center to match someone else's noise. Most people don't lose power because life takes it. They lose power because they start broadcasting someone else's frequency without realizing it. They get tuned into guilt, fear, judgment, or urgency, not because they choose to, but because they forget they're the one holding the dial. What we're really learning here isn't defense, it's mastery. How to stop leaking your energy trying to control, please, or fix others. And instead, hold your inner tone so steady that even chaos begins to harmonize with you. This is not about being cold or detached. It's about remembering your nervous system is the antenna. If you can regulate the signal inside your body, you stop being at the mercy of external static. You stop reacting. You start creating. In this guide, I'll show you exactly how to hold your power in every situation, without the spiritual fluff, without bypassing emotion, and without losing the very openness that makes you human. Because protecting your frequency doesn't mean closing your heart. It means keeping it tuned. Let's start simple. Think of your body as a tuning fork. Every thought, emotion, and environment you encounter sends a vibration through your system. When something resonates with your core frequency, peace, clarity, authenticity, it amplifies your tone. When it clashes, manipulation, tension, judgment, it creates dissonance. You can't always control the external notes life plays, but you can decide whether you'll resonate with them or stay tuned to your own key. This is where embodiment comes in. Most people try to protect their energy mentally by overthinking, analyzing, or distancing. But protection doesn't happen in your head. It happens in your body, because your body is the transmitter. If your breath is shallow and your shoulders tense, you're broadcasting threat. Your field narrows. You start matching the very frequency you wanted to block. When you relax your body, even slightly, and anchor your awareness in your physical center, your signal expands. You stop absorbing. You start transmitting. Here's how the mechanism works. 1. Observation activates neutrality. When you notice your reaction without judgment, you're no longer inside the static. You're watching the signal, which already raises your frequency. 2. Regulation stabilizes your field. A deep exhale resets your nervous system. When your system feels safe, your field becomes coherent, like a clean tone vibrating through chaos. 3. Embodiment broadcasts the truth. The moment you inhabit your body again, you send out a stronger wave than any external distortion. Your frequency doesn't need armor. It needs coherence. The more embodied you are, the less penetrable you become. Not because you're blocking, but because you're broadcasting too clearly to be overridden. It's like trying to drown out a perfectly tuned note with static. It just cuts through. But here's the myth most people still believe, that holding your power means resisting what's around you, that if you stay calm, detached, or high vibe, you'll be safe. That's not protection, that's contraction. And contraction is just fear disguised as control. The real mastery begins when you stop fighting frequencies and start mastering resonance itself. And that's where most people get it completely backward. Here's the trap almost everyone falls into. They mistake tension for strength. They think holding power means tightening up, staying composed, not letting things get to you. But that's not power. That's bracing. And when you brace, your body starts broadcasting resistance, which ironically makes you more reactive to everything you're trying to block. Real energetic protection doesn't come from rigidity. It comes from resonance. Let me show you what that looks like. A woman I coached once told me about a job interview that completely threw her off. She'd prepared, practiced affirmations, even meditated that morning. But the moment she sat down, the interviewer gave her that subtle, prove yourself stare. You know the one. Her stomach dropped. Her answers got smaller. Her confidence evaporated, even though nothing was technically wrong. Afterward, she said, "I don't get it. I did everything right, but my energy still collapsed." What happened is simple but powerful. She stopped resonating with her own field and synced with his. She left the frequency of grounded self-trust and entered his vibration of control and scrutiny. Her nervous system went into survival mode, and survival mode never transmits power. It only mirrors threat. Most people think protecting their frequency means armoring up, but armor blocks flow. The moment you contract, you've already tuned out of your natural coherence. Power isn't about being unshakable in the sense of nothing touches me. It's about being so tuned to your own core tone that you can feel the vibration of any situation and stay centered enough to let it move through without sticking. You don't protect your frequency by defending it. You protect it by remembering it. Try this. Next time you feel that drop, that invisible pull when someone's energy tries to dominate the room, don't harden. Soften downward into your body. Feel your feet. Breathe into your lower belly. Let your awareness rest in your chest like a slow pulse of warmth. Then notice, your energy stops leaking. You haven't fought anyone. You've just reclaimed your broadcast. And that's the shift no one tells you. It's not about pushing away their energy. It's about staying audible in your own. Because here's the secret most people never realize. The world doesn't drain your frequency. Your own disconnection does. And when you understand how to restore that connection inside your nervous system, everything changes, even in the middle of chaos. Here's the piece that ties it all together. Your frequency is not some abstract aura floating around you. It's your nervous system in motion. Every vibe you give off is literally your body broadcasting its current state. When you feel unsafe, unseen, or pressured, your body sends a survival signal, and that signal scrambles your field. The coherence you had dissolves into static. That's why protecting your energy has nothing to do with avoiding people or situations. It's about creating safety inside your own system, so your body can stay open enough to transmit your real tone. Think of your nervous system like the string of an instrument. When it's tense, even a soft touch makes it screech. When it's relaxed but tuned, it sings. Coherence isn't about control. It's about balance. The key is learning to notice the moment your body begins to tighten. That subtle contraction that says, "I'm not safe," because that's the exact second your signal drops. Here's a simple 45-second practice you can use anywhere, anytime. A literal frequency reset. 1. Exhale first. Let the breath go out longer than it came in. Feel the weight of gravity pulling your body downward. That downward pull is safety. It tells your brain, "I'm here." 2. Widen your awareness. Notice the space behind you, above you, around you. You're reminding your system it's not trapped. Trapped energy turns into defense. 3. Anchor your heart. Place a hand on your chest and feel the pulse. Don't force calm, just sense rhythm. That rhythm is coherence starting to return. 4. Inhale softly through your nose. Let your breath fill your ribs from the sides, not the top. Imagine it as a slow tuning tone re-establishing your field. Within half a minute, your energy shifts. Your body re-enters the conversation as the conductor, not the instrument being played. When you do this often, you train your system to recover faster, to stay coherent even when tension hits. That's what true energetic protection looks like. A nervous system that knows how to come home. And once you know how to come home, the world's chaos stops feeling like a threat. It becomes a rhythm you can dance with. Because the goal isn't to avoid dissonance, it's to stay so stable in your frequency that dissonance can't rewrite your song. But here's where things get even deeper. What if the power you're protecting isn't just a state you visit, but an identity you already are? Most people treat their frequency like weather, something that changes based on mood, circumstance, or who walks into the room. But real power isn't about chasing a better state. It's about remembering the identity that creates the state. When you base your energy on how things are going, you're fragile. When you base it on who you are, you're untouchable. Here's what I mean. You can breathe, ground, and regulate all day, and still lose coherence the moment someone questions your worth. Because deep down, your nervous system isn't calibrated to calm. It's calibrated to proving. That's not frequency work. That's survival dressed up as spirituality. The difference between a temporary state and an embodied identity is this. A state fades when the trigger returns. An identity holds steady because it's no longer negotiating its right to exist. You can tell which one you're in by this one sign. When life gets loud, do you tighten and perform, or do you expand and observe? Let's take a simple example. You're at a dinner with friends. Conversation shifts to success, money, who's doing what. You feel that quiet contraction, that tiny sense of being less. That's the moment you drop out of identity and into comparison. Your frequency didn't get taken. You just tuned to a smaller version of yourself. Now flip it. Imagine you catch that contraction and breathe into it. You remind your body, I don't need to perform, I'm the signal itself. You lift your posture slightly, soften your jaw, let your awareness fill the room instead of shrinking inside it. That's identity reclaiming the field. You've moved from reaction to presence. When you begin living as the frequency, not reaching for it, you stop chasing alignment and start emanating it. And this is where the shift becomes irreversible. Because you're no longer trying to hold your power. You are power holding form. And yet, there's one deeper layer still. The reason identity has the ability to bend reality itself. The reason certain people seem to glide through obstacles, while others grind through resistance. It's not luck. It's not even mindset. It's the invisible mechanism behind timelines. How every version of you already exists, and the one you embody now determines which world you walk into next. Because power isn't just something you hold, it's the station you're tuned to, and the timeline that station broadcasts. Imagine reality as a giant field of radio stations, infinite frequencies all playing at once. Each station is a version of your life, already broadcasting. One where things flow easily, one where you keep hitting resistance, one where the right people appear effortlessly, one where you're constantly misunderstood. They're all there, right now. The dial that decides which one you experience is your identity. Most people try to manifest by focusing on what they want, but they stay tuned to the same identity that created their current reality. It's like wanting to hear jazz while staying on a heavy metal station. No matter how much you visualize jazz, you're still tuned to distortion. When you shift identity, not through affirmation but through embodiment, you literally move stations. You don't fight for new circumstances. You start receiving from a new timeline altogether. Let's bring this down to earth with a real scenario. A man I worked with kept saying, I'm just unlucky in relationships. Every time he met someone, he'd attract the same emotional distance, the same loop of trying to be enough. He thought his pattern was bad luck, but it was actually coherence, just with the wrong frequency. The unlucky identity was perfectly tuned to timelines that proved him right. Once he stopped trying to fix the pattern and instead embodied a new self-image, a man already emotionally safe, already chosen, his frequency jumped. Within months, he wasn't meeting different people by chance. He was meeting matching people by physics. Your body is the tuner. The nervous system is what holds the dial steady. When your body learns the feeling of safety, you can hold the identity long enough for the external to reorganize around it. That's why identity work isn't imagination. It's training the body to stay coherent in a new frequency until that frequency becomes reality. So the question isn't, how do I get there? It's, who am I being tuned to right now? When your embodiment says, I am power, I am peace, your world adjusts. When it says, I am threat, I am lack, the world mirrors that instead. And this is where things start getting practical. Because knowing all this isn't enough. You need ways to rehearse it daily until the nervous system makes it automatic. There's a method to that. A set of micro tools to train your frequency like muscle memory. And once you know them, your energy becomes unshakable, no matter what's around you. You can't think your way into coherence. You have to train it. Just like a musician doesn't master a note by theory alone, you don't stabilize your frequency through concepts. You do it through repetition. Micro adjustments that teach your body what alignment feels like until it becomes instinct. So here's the toolkit I use. A simple daily rehearsal that rewires the signal from the inside out. 1. Bridge statements. When you're shifting identity, your mind often rebels. It says, that's not true yet. So instead of jumping from I feel anxious to I'm confident, build a bridge. Try, I'm beginning to remember what calm feels like. Or it's getting easier to stay in my power. These gentle transitions bypass resistance and start recalibrating your vibration one believable step at a time. 2. Somatic anchors. Choose one physical gesture that becomes your power reset. It might be pressing your thumb to your palm, rolling your shoulders back, or placing a hand on your heart. Every time you do it, pair it with a deep exhale and one inner phrase like, I'm tuned. Over time, your body associates the movement with coherence. That's how you turn awareness into embodiment. 3. Breath mapping. Set a timer 3 times a day. When it rings, pause and check your breath. Is it high and fast or low and slow? Breath is your live broadcast. Slow it down by 20%. Let the exhale be just slightly longer. You'll feel your energy widen instantly. That's your nervous system reclaiming the dial. 4. Frequency rehearsal. At night, instead of visualizing what you want, feel who you'll be tomorrow. Don't imagine outcomes, imagine embodiment. How would you breathe, walk, or speak if your energy couldn't be drained? Hold that feeling for 90 seconds before sleep. You're teaching your subconscious the tone to broadcast overnight. The key is consistency. These practices aren't about fixing low energy. They're about stabilizing coherence so you stop collapsing every time external noise rises. And this is where the power compounds. The more your body learns the taste of your true frequency, the faster it returns there after disruption. Eventually, coherence becomes your default, not a state you chase, but the baseline your life unfolds from. Have you ever noticed that the moment you stopped gripping, what you wanted finally showed up? Tell me your story in the comments. It might unlock someone else's leap. Now, before we celebrate mastery, there's something crucial we need to face. The 3 hidden traps that cause even the most self-aware people to lose their frequency: urgency, split signals, and the need to control. Let's be honest, even when you know how to stay coherent, certain situations still pull you out fast. The 3 biggest culprits? Urgency, split signals, and over-control. These are the silent frequency killers, subtle, convincing, and totally human. Urgency is the first. It pretends to be motivation, but it's actually panic in disguise. The moment you start thinking, "I need this to happen now," your nervous system fires the threat response. Your field contracts. The body broadcasts lack, not because you don't deserve what you want, but because you've left the present moment to chase the future. Urgency tells the universe, "I'm not safe until this happens." Coherence can't exist in that vibration. Here's the fix. Slow down the signal, literally. When urgency hits, stop mid-thought and do a 2-breath reset. 1 slow inhale through the nose, 1 long exhale through the mouth. Say internally, "There's no rush in resonance." You'll feel your timeline stretch open again. Split signals are next. When part of you says, "I want peace," but another whispers, "I need their approval." The field doesn't know which to follow, so it flickers. That flicker is confusion in form. The solution? Radical clarity. Before any action, ask, what frequency am I choosing this from, fear or power? If it's fear, pause, recenter. Act only when your body feels wide, not tight. Alignment isn't about perfection, it's about signal purity. And then there's over-control. The paradox of spiritual work is that the more we try to manage our energy, the less free it becomes. Control is just fear of chaos wearing a mask of discipline. But true power isn't micromanaged. It's maintained through trust. You don't need to monitor every emotion. You just need to stay available to your own rhythm. Here's a truth that dissolves control instantly. Coherence is self-healing. The moment you relax back into your core frequency, everything you were trying to control starts to organize itself. So when you catch yourself tightening, remember, the frequency doesn't need you to force alignment. It only needs you to stop interrupting it. Each of these traps comes down to the same misunderstanding. Thinking protection means management, when in reality, it means remembrance. And once you master that, once you can hold coherence through urgency, through confusion, through chaos, you stop protecting your power and start living as it. But how does this look when you're just moving through your day? Walking, eating, texting, or talking to someone who triggers you? That's where coherence meets real life. The real test isn't meditation or ritual. It's how you move through the ordinary. Because if your frequency only holds when things are quiet, it's not power, it's pause. True mastery is when your coherence breathes inside traffic, deadlines, conversations, and silence. Start with walking. Most people walk like they're escaping time, shoulders tight, eyes forward, breath chasing their thoughts. Try this instead. Slow your pace by just 5%. Let your awareness sink into your feet hitting the ground. Feel gravity hold you instead of you holding everything. That subtle shift from tension to trust is you returning to broadcast mode. Next, eating. Your body reads energy faster than it reads food. If you rush meals or scroll while eating, your field digests noise. Take 1 bite in stillness each day. No phone, no distraction, and ask silently, "Can I taste coherence?" You'll notice the moment your energy begins to feed your body, not the other way around. Conversations, too, are energy exchanges more than word trades. When someone's energy spikes, frustration, defensiveness, control, most people mirror it automatically, but you can choose differently. When you feel your chest tighten, soften your belly instead. Drop your attention to the space behind your heart and breathe there. That one move reclaims your signal. You'll watch the tone of the conversation shift as your field stabilizes theirs. Even scrolling, we forget that every post carries frequency. Notice what happens to your breath while you scroll. If it shortens, you've tuned to collective static. The fix isn't quitting social media. It's returning to the observer seat. Before you scroll, whisper to yourself, "I'm the tuner, not the receiver." Your feed changes its emotional texture instantly. The truth is, daily life is a coherence gym. Every mundane moment is a chance to practice staying tuned in motion. You don't need to escape the world to hold your power. You just need to move through it with awareness. And there's a hidden gift in that. The more your frequency stabilizes in the ordinary, the faster it expands into the extraordinary. Coherence compounds. Because once your everyday vibration becomes stable, the world starts responding differently. Opportunities align, people soften, timing syncs. It's not magic, it's physics, meeting embodiment. And just when you think you've mastered holding your frequency in the small moments, something else happens. Your field starts expanding into bigger domains. Your purpose, your health, your relationships. And that expansion has rules of its own. The next octave of coherence, where your personal energy begins shaping everything around you. Once your energy becomes stable in the small things, life begins to reorganize in the big ones. You start noticing it first in relationships. How people either rise to meet your new tone or quietly fade out. That's not loss. That's resonance sorting itself. You're no longer a match to chaos, so it stops knocking. Imagine this. You walk into a meeting that once terrified you. Same room, same people, but your inner field feels anchored. Instead of bracing for judgment, you're grounded in quiet authority. You speak slower, listen deeper, and something wild happens. Everyone else starts relaxing too. That's coherence broadcasting leadership. You didn't force respect. Your frequency led the room. Then it spills into creativity. The block you once called lack of inspiration turns out to be nervous system noise. When you're coherent, ideas don't need to be chased. They download. You sit down to write, paint, record, and instead of pushing, you receive. That's what flow really is. The nervous system surrendering control so the field can express itself through you. And health, the most physical mirror of your vibration. The body can't heal in incoherence. Every time you regulate your energy, you're not just calming down, you're reprogramming biology. Cells communicate more efficiently in coherence. Hormones shift. The immune system recalibrates. Healing, at its core, is frequency becoming organized again. Let's ground this with one more scenario. A bill is due, and your chest tightens. Old you spirals. What if there's not enough? But coherent you pauses. You feel your feet. Exhale slowly. And remember, urgency is static. You stabilize the signal instead of forcing control. Minutes later, you get an unexpected message. A payment, a solution, a new client. Not because you manifested by thought, but because your vibration became a match to resolution instead of panic. This is what protecting your frequency truly means. Your field becomes so steady that external reality starts organizing around it. You're not escaping life, you're conducting it. And when you can hold that level of power in work, health, and love, something even deeper begins to awaken. A sense that you're not the only one tuning the dial, that perhaps the field itself is intelligent, and coherence isn't something you create, but something you join. That's where the science of vibration meets the mystery of spirit. The space where surrender becomes the highest form of control. There's a moment in this work where the question shifts from how do I protect my energy to what is this energy actually part of? Because when your frequency stabilizes long enough, you start to feel something larger moving through you. Not an external force, but a deeper intelligence, guiding through resonance instead of command. You realize coherence isn't just your personal signal, it's your access point to a field that's been speaking the whole time. The same field that grows trees and balances tides, it's not symbolic. It's physics woven with consciousness. And when you're tuned, you're aligned with it. That's why surrender is not weakness. It's alignment with the intelligence that already knows the most efficient route. Every time you release the grip of control, you become a clearer channel for that intelligence to move through. The paradox? The more you surrender, the more powerful your energy becomes, because it's no longer limited by your mind's bandwidth. Think about the times you've felt fully in flow, when words, timing, or encounters seemed orchestrated beyond logic. That's coherence with the field. You didn't manifest those moments by command. You allowed them by alignment. When you truly protect your frequency, You're not building walls. You're dissolving interference between you and that higher current. The ego loves to say, I'm doing this. But the field whispers, I'm doing this through you. This is where vibration becomes devotion. You start to treat your coherence as sacred, not because it makes you special, but because it makes you available. The goal stops being control and becomes communion. In that state, even challenge carries intelligence. A delay, a silence, a rejection, they're not punishments. They're frequency calibrations, steering you to a more aligned timeline. And here's the deeper truth. Your energy doesn't need protection when it remembers its source. The ocean doesn't fear the wave. The wave is the ocean. When you move from separation to participation, from resistance to resonance, life stops being something you manage and becomes something you conduct. That's the real endgame of this practice. Not a perfectly curated vibe, but a deep trust in the intelligence vibrating beneath everything you do, say, or feel. And once that trust stabilizes, you no longer ask how to protect your power. You ask how widely you can let it flow. Because at that level, coherence isn't protection, it's creation. So here's the truth most people never reach. Protecting your frequency was never about defense. It was always about remembrance. The remembering of your tone, your nature, your original signal before the world taught you to shrink. When your energy stops reacting and starts resonating, everything changes. Conversations soften, decisions clarify, synchronicities accelerate. You stop trying to manifest and start magnetizing, not from want, but from wholeness. Think of it like this. Life is a hall of mirrors. Every reflection you meet, every person, every challenge, every silence, isn't testing you, it's tuning you. The more you hold your frequency, the clearer the reflections become, until one day, you realize there's no longer a distorted mirror staring back at you, just light reflecting light. Protecting your frequency isn't a fight against interference. It's the art of staying visible to yourself when the noise gets loud. And that visibility, that moment of remembering who you are, even in chaos, that's your power. Because coherence isn't calmness, it's clarity. It's the still rhythm underneath the storm, guiding you home to the version of you that's never been lost, just waiting to be heard again. So let life test you. Let the frequencies rise and clash and shimmer. You're not here to avoid the static. You're here to learn how to sing through it. And as you do, you'll notice, the more you trust your tone, the more the world harmonizes around it. The power you were trying to protect, it was never fragile. It was just waiting for you to stop hiding it. Have you ever felt that moment when you finally stopped shrinking and everything around you started matching your piece? Share it in the comments. Your story might be the reminder someone else needs to remember their own signal. Because the truth is simple. You don't hold your power by guarding it. You hold it by becoming the frequency nothing can distort.